Hello everybody, today is 12th of April. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. So guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss all the relevant articles in the Hindu newspaper that are important for the UPSC CSE examination. Now, I have provided you here the table, the index box where I have discussed the articles that we are going to discuss and what will be the utility of the exam. For the exam, it has also been discussed here. So first of all, we can see here that the first article, it is talking about amending the Weapons of Mass Destruction Act. So for this particular thing, there has been a bill which was recently introduced into the parliament. So we will be seeing that what is the importance of such particular amendment bill. Okay, so this particular thing will be important for the GS paper number 2 acts and bills, as well as in the international obligations that India owes. There also this particular article can be used. It has been taken from the page number 10. Then on making Kannada the mandatory for the UG courses, so it is taken from the text and the context section, and it will be important with respect to the education and whether under the new education policy 2020 such kind of things can be taken or not. Fine, you can see the page number. Then Niti Aayog puts out the energy and climate index list. So we will see that what is this climate index list, okay, and under how the states are being ranked, and it can be seen as an example of competitive federalism. We'll be taking it up. In pandemic shock, critical lessons for the MSMEs. So the MSME sector, its development will take it. Then the next article is India and UK crafting a new legacy. Okay, so this article will see the India UK relationships and what are the key milestones that have been achieved into the past few years. It will be important for GS2 and GS paper number 3. Then the next is the state of adolescent learning. So this article talks about that how the genderization of education has happened. Fine, so it will be important for GS paper number 2 education. You can see the page numbers from where these articles have been taken. So that is all guys about the important articles, a summary that we are going to discuss, and now let's discuss all these articles one by one in the detail. But before that, let's take the GS quotes. Okay, so first of all, taking up the quote. So today we'll be taking the quote from the Mehboob ul Haq. So Mehboob ul Haq had given a very profound idea. He says that in the last analysis, human security means a child who did not die, a disease that did not spread, an ethnic tension that did not explode, a dissident who was not silenced, a human spirit that was not crushed. So he had talked not about the human secure. He had not talked about the national security, food security, but he had talked a very comprehensive idea, that is the human security. Now the idea of human security is very wide and encompassing, and it includes all those things. A child who did not die. Okay, it talks about that. See, in India we see that many of the there is very high NMR, very high IMR. Why? Because of some preventable infectious diseases. So if we are able to provide the good health to the children so that they are not dying, we might say that a human security is there. A disease that not spread. Okay, the vigilance of our health system, if it is good, we can say that the human security is ensured. An ethnic tension that did not explode. So if there is a congeniality into the society, we can say that the human security is there. So all these particular dimensions of the human security are which needed to be ensured by a state. So guys, this is a very important, this is a very impactful quote. You can use it in the essays, you can use it in GS paper number 4 as well as GS paper number 2. So that is all guys about the quote for the today. And now let's take the first article from the text and the context section, amending the Weapons of the Mass Destruction Act. Okay, so here we can see a comment, sir, is it enough for UPSC or not? We should read the articles or not? Okay, see guys, everyone, I am telling you one thing very clearly. First of all, please see the previous year question papers of the UPSC. Clear? If you have seen it, you can find that in the mains examination as well as in the prelims examination, the questions that are asked, they are onto the issues. Okay, the questions are not being asked that okay, on 12th of April onto the page number 8 what article came. The questions are onto the issues. Okay, you need to see the theme based issues. Okay, you need to build an understanding onto the contemporary developments, and on that understanding the question will be asked. So every one liner detail that okay, it is not important. Is it clear? Now amending the Weapons of the Mass Destruction Act. Fine. So this particular article, guys, first of all, I'll be giving you the context. Okay, and after understanding the context, we'll see that what has happened. So basically, the context goes like this: that first of all, when we talk about the weapons of mass destruction, these are those weapons which could be A, they could be the nuclear weapons, they could be the chemical weapons, or third, they could be the biological weapons. So in weapons of mass destruction, these are three types of weapons are included. They had the potential that they can cause incalculable damage to the human life as well as to the property, and they might be and they might impact the human well-being, human security. So these weapons of mass destruction are needed to be banned, they are needed to be kept under control. Even in 2003, when the US and UK had carried an intervention onto the Iraq, that was done onto the charge that the Iraq has amassed the weapons of the mass destruction. Now, in order to control the weapons of the mass destruction, there has been a resolution that has already been passed in 2004 in the United Nations Security Council. Now, the United Nations Security Council, in its resolution number 1540, it has provided that the states need to make an effort that weapons of mass destruction are controlled. Okay, now in this particular direction, already we are having an act on the weapons of the mass destruction, where it has been provided that the government can that government can punish the people who are manufacturing the weapons of mass destruction and all these kind of things. But now we are amending this particular act. Why? Because there is a new clause that is being added, and we'll see that what this new clause is and why it is being added, how it will be helpful. So this is about the entire context and the background. After this background, now let's take this particular article. So first of all, the bill that has been proposed into the parliament, it is the Weapons of the Mass Destruction and Their Delivery System Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022. Now, why it is being proposed here? See, first of all, when we talk about this UNSC resolution which India had adopted earlier, and under this resolution, as we had earlier banned the weapons of mass destruction and their production and their manufacturing, what this particular resolution proposed? So it proposed that every nation state such as India, every nation state, they will pledge that they will not provide any form of support to the non-state actors seeking to acquire the weapons of the mass destruction. So India's track record has been excellent, but there are certain other countries such as the Pakistan which have a track record that they have provided the technologies, they have provided the inputs as how to make the weapons of mass destruction. So it puts a kind of a general obligation onto the state that you will not provide it to the non-state actors. Non-state actor includes the terrorist organizations, insurgency, the organizations carrying the insurgency and all such things. Then the next thing, it has also been provided that related materials and the means of delivery will also not be provided by the state. So an obligation has been put. Then the state will adopt and enforce the laws criminalizing the possession and acquisition of such items by the non-state actors. Not only you will not be providing, but you need to criminalize also if somebody is possessing, particularly the non-state actors, if they are possessing it. And then the another thing that was provided into that UNSC resolution, it was that to adopt and enforce domestic controls over relevant materials, and you need to prevent their proliferation. So every this thing was provided into the UNSC resolution 1540, and to implement it, already we had made an act onto the weapons of mass destruction. Now guys, in this particular act, there was one particular provision that was missing. What about the financing? Suppose there is a person, his name is Mr. X. Mr. X is arranging the finance for some non-state actor, and by that money, that non-state actor or that non-state organization will create the weapon of mass destruction. Under the present act, you can punish the one who is manufacturing, but what about who is providing the financing, who is arranging for the financing? So in order to control this particular angle of financing, this amendment has been brought. So basically, amendment, what it does, it expands the scope and includes the prohibition of financing or any activity related to the weapons of mass destruction and their delivery system. It provides that if anybody is carrying the financing, that financing can be frozen. The central government will have the power that it can freeze that money, it can seize the assets, it can attach the assets, it can attach all the financial assets, economic resources of the suspected individuals. So this is the amendment that is being brought into the Weapon of the Mass Destruction Act that has been there. Now guys, why the need of this particular thing has come? It is because of the recent basically see, whatever the UNSC resolutions have been passed, from time to time their periodic inspection and periodic review happens, and it is seen that whether the countries are implementing it, whether there are certain loopholes that have come, whether we need to add something more. Okay, so under this periodic inspection and review of the UNSC resolution, it was found that there are certain gaps into the enforcement. It has been provided that there have been the rapid advancement into the science, technology, international commerce, and now they are availing the financing with much an ease. Many of such kind of mechanisms have emerged. So therefore, this financing aspect was to be curbed, and to implement it, we have brought this particular bill, that is the Weapons of the Mass Destruction and Their Delivery System Prohibition Amendment Bill 2022. It has been passed even in the Lok Sabha. So guys, that is all about it. And which weapons of mass destruction it will be dealing? All three types: nuclear, biological and chemical. Is it clear? Even for the chemical, we have the Chemical Weapon Convention, we have Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW. This organization specifically makes sure that the chemical weapons are not being possessed and they are not being used. Even India is a member of OPCW. Is it clear? Fine. Then there are other conventions also. Guys, if you are following the newspaper analysis regularly, just a few days back I had even shown you all the treaties that are there with respect to the chemical and the nuclear weapons convention, okay, which India had signed and which India have not signed. Even that also we have discussed. So I hope that you have understood it. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, on making Kannada Kannada mandatory for the UG courses. So this article again taken from the text and the context section, and it will be important for the education, particularly the higher education. Now, before going in this particular article, first of all guys, again I'll tell you the context and the background. Okay, the context as well as the background. So see what has happened. The new education policy 2020 came. New education policy 2020 came. It was the biggest education reform that came in India in the last 34 years. As of today, we got three education policies. The first education policy came in 1968. The first education policy came in the 1968 first national education policy. Then the second national education policy came in 1986. It got amended in 1992. And the third education policy, it came in the 2020, which we call as the National Education Policy 2020. Now the National Education Policy 2020 has covered the two broad themes. It had covered the school education as well as it had covered the higher education, and many of the reforms for the school education and higher education have been proposed by the New Education Policy 2020. By the way, I had made a full detailed video on the entire New Education Policy 2020. You can find the video in our channel. Okay, so in 2020 when it was announced, we have taken it up. So if you have not seen it, you can see that also. Now, when we talk about the new education policy, guys, there are certain provisions with respect to the language. Now, the provision with respect to the language goes like this, that it has been provided in this policy that till the class 5th, or if possible, then till the class 8th. So, first of all, till class 5th, and if possible, till the class 8th, children are needed to be given education in their mother tongue, in their regional language. It is provided. Fine, but this provision is only into the schools till the class number 8th. However, guys, one more thing has been there, that after this new education policy 2020 came, thus Ministry of Education has clarified this particular thing, that the language will not be imposed on anybody. No language will be imposed. Fine, this is something that has happened. Now guys, moving on in this particular direction, what is the present issue? So present issue is like this, that the government of Karnataka, within the government of Karnataka, the higher education department of the Karnataka, they have issued a notification, and under this particular notification they had provided two things. Number one, they had provided that all that from the academic year 2021-2022, the students who are taking the admission into the undergraduate courses, they have to study Kannada as a compulsory language. Fine, they have to take a paper in the Kannada language. Everybody has to take it compulsorily. Second thing that they have provided is that basically the government, it will prepare the Kannada language syllabus, okay, for the students who have not read the Kannada till 10 plus 2 class, or the ones whose mother tongue is not Kannada. So everybody has to read the Kannada. If you have your mother tongue as Kannada, then also if you don't have it, then also the Kannada language has to be read into the undergraduate courses. This was the notification that was brought, and the government of Karnataka had justified it, saying that we are bringing it in order to implement the provisions of the new education policy 2020. Okay, so in order to implement it, we have brought it. Now as this thing came, the petition was filed into the Karnataka High Court, and now the Karnataka High Court has gave its decision. So what Karnataka High Court has done, Karnataka High Court had stayed the implementation of these two orders that have been issued by the government. One for preparing the Kannada language syllabus, and other that everybody has to study the Kannada language into the UG. So High Court has stayed it. There are certain logics. Number one, it has been provided that, see, basically it was provided that the new education policy 2020, it came out with a central idea, that was to offer the choice based system. Now under this choice based system, a lot of autonomy was to be given to the students for choosing their subjects. For example, guys, we find this particular thing, that even the choices have been given that in the schools there will not be the watertight compartmentalization into the arts, commerce, fine arts, commerce and the science subject. Even into the college, it has been provided that even the students in engineering, they can read the other subjects, they can take the electives. Okay, you can do 1 year of your course in one college, then you go to other college. Let's say first year you have done in the A college, you can then switch your college into the second year, you can get enrolled into the B college, then in third year you can get enrolled into the C college. Every year that you are spending in one educational institution, you will be getting credits for that. For example, if you have done just 1 year in one college, you will get a certificate. If you have done 2 years, you will get a diploma. If you have done 3 years or 4 years, you will get a degree. Fine. So there is so much of autonomy that was given. Now imposing the language and saying it that it is a part of NEP 2020, it is not correct. So it has been said that NEP 2020 had talked about that it will bring the inclusivity, it will give the autonomy, and now you are imposing the language, it is not justified. Then there is one more thing that has happened, guys. Even the central government had also justified. The central government has provided that there is no mention of any compulsory language into the NEP 2020, and it cannot be done by the state government, and giving an excuse that we are doing it to implement the NEP. So this is something that has happened in this particular article. I hope, guys, that you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now this particular article we have again taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the Niti Aayog's recently released Energy and Climate Index. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that see, there is an idea of competitive federalism. What is the competitive federalism? See, competitive federalism is a positive connotation. It provides that, see, sometimes if we rank the states on certain parameters, you rank the state on the parameter that what is the ease of doing business, you rank the states as how good the infrastructure is that they are providing, you rank the states onto the basis that how good education is there into your state. So basically, when we are ranking the states, what happens, it creates a positive competition. The states who are at the top, they will try to retain that top position, and the states who are at the bottom, they'll try to improve. A competitive spirit will come. So competitive federalism is putting a state in a type of a competition type of situation where the states are fighting in a positive manner, okay, to improve on certain indicators. These indicators could be infrastructure, social, health, anything. So the competitive federalism's idea is there. Now, guys, in the line of this competitive federalism, the Niti Aayog had released this Energy and the Climate Index list. Under this particular thing, what has happened, the states as well as union territories, they have ranked. First of all, the states and union territories, they have been divided. There are the big states, then there are the small states. Okay, so now they have been ranked. They have been actually ranked onto the 6 parameters. Fine. Now they have been ranked as what is the distribution company's performance. Okay, now distribution companies are the companies which are providing the electricity to the end consumer. See guys, when we talk about the electricity distribution, first of all there will be the electricity producer. Okay, for example, let's say that the NTPC is producing the electricity by the coal, so there is an electricity producer. After that will come the distribution companies, discoms. Now distribution companies will act as an interface between the place from where the electricity is being manufactured and the ultimate consumer. So these distribution companies will be setting up the infrastructure, will be setting the transmission lines, and will actually be providing the electricity to the consumers. So these distribution companies, so the states will be ranked whether the distribution companies, they are able to perform good or not. Now the performance can be measured on many of the aspects. For example, what is the financial health of the distribution companies, what is the aggregate transmission and distribution losses of that particular company. Is it clear? Fine. Whether the company has, whether good infrastructure is being maintained, whether the electricity with efficiency is being provided to the households or not. So on many parameters the efficiency of a distribution company can be measured. So into this Niti Aayog's index, the state are being ranked where the performance of the distribution companies is being seen. The access, affordability and reliability of energy is being seen. Accessibility, whether everybody is having the connection. Affordability, whether the electricity is affordable, it should not be very expensive. And reliability, whether you are getting electricity throughout the day, or whether, like, let's say out of 24 hours only 4 hours you are getting. So reliability also needs to be there. Clean energy initiatives, okay, whether renewable energy, solar energy initiatives are being taken or not. Energy efficiency, is it clear or not? Energy efficiency means that, okay, how efficiently you are using your resources and making energy out of it. Okay, environmental sustainability and new initiatives. Okay, on these 6 parameters the states have been ranked, and as per this particular ranking, what has happened, the first of all the data has been taken from 2019-20, and it has been provided that the Gujarat, Kerala and Punjab, they have been the big states that have ranked top, whereas the states of Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh are the bottom 3 states. Now guys, as I told you that the specific categories have also been evaluated. Punjab was the best performer in the distribution company performance. Kerala has topped in the category of access, affordability and reliability. Haryana was the best performer in clean energy initiatives, and the Tamil Nadu was the best performer in the energy efficiency category. So this is a certain ranking that has been given. Now guys, if you are preparing for the state PCS examination, then if your state's name is there in it, you can use it in the answers if you are writing for the state PCS examination. And for the UPSC examination, you don't need to remember the ranking of every state, that okay, what was the ranking of Himachal Pradesh, what was the ranking of West Bengal. No, you don't need to remember that. You need to remember the parameters that is there, how it will promote the competitive federalism, you can see, and how these kind of initiatives make the states more climate conscious. Fine, that is something that we can see. Now when we talk about this, moreover for the prelims examination, even the question can be asked that who releases this energy and climate index list. Now one more important thing is that this state energy and climate index that we have just discussed, it is the first index, that track the effort made by the state and union territories into the climate and energy sector. So this is the first list that is announced. So that is all guys about it. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. In pandemic shock, critical lessons for MSMEs. So this article will be important for the Indian economy, MSME sector, GS paper number 3. Now, first of all guys, before moving in this particular article, what is the definition of the MSMEs? Okay, so let's see the definition of MSMEs. First of all guys, I'll tell you that the definition of MSMEs have been revised recently. Earlier definition of MSME, there were two things that were there. Number one, earlier definition was basically based onto the investment that has been done. Investment done into the plant and machinery, and onto the basis of investment, the industries were categorized. Okay. Then the second thing is that into the earlier categorization that was there, the service sector service oriented MSMEs, there was a different classification for them, and then the manufacturing oriented MSME, for them the different classification is there. Now what has happened, the new MSME classification that has come, number one, this distinction that is for service and manufacturing, the separate limit that was there, it has been removed. Secondly, now the present MSME classification that is there, it has two parameters. It has the parameter of investment as well as it has also the parameter of turnover. Okay, so on the turnover and investment, two parameters, the classification has been made. Now first of all, the small enterprises. So guys, it has been provided that the first of all, the micro enterprises. Okay, just a minute. The micro enterprises, so micro enterprises will be the one where the investment is less than 1 crore rupees into the plant and machinery, or their turnover is, and the turnover is less than 5 crore. So turnover less than 5 crore and investment in plant and machinery less than 1 crore. Then the small enterprises are the one where investment is less than 10 crore and the turnover is less than 50 crore. Medium enterprises, investment should be less than 50 crore and the turnover should be less than 250 crores. So on these basis, the industry will be classified as micro or the small or the medium enterprise. Now basically, first of all, this particular article, it is saying that what has happened. See, right now the MSMEs, they play a very important role into the Indian economy. Currently we have 6.4 crore MSMEs in India, fine, and they contribute 30% to our GDP. Also, more than 40% of our exports, they are contributed by the MSME sector. So MSME sector plays a very important role in Indian economy. Now understand that when we talk about the MSMEs, there are certain data which have been provided as what has been the impact on the MSME sector by this pandemic. So number one, it has been provided that, see, 53% of the firms, because of this pandemic, they had faced more than 50% of decline in their turnover. So more than 53% of MSMEs, their decline they have faced. After that, 29% of the firms, they have seen a collapse in their business got completely collapsed. Then around 53% of the MSMEs, they have observed a decrease in the demand of their products, and 36% of the MSMEs, they say that they have seen an erratic supply of the raw material, and because they were not able to receive the raw material, they were not able to go for the further production. So these are the numbers as what has been the impact of pandemic onto the MSME sector. Very important data, you can note down this directly into your notebooks. Now, first of all, why the decline of MSMEs? There is a large number of reasons that why the MSMEs got impacted. Particularly, what had happened, the restriction and the lockdowns were there, and because of that, the mobility got restricted. Economic activities on whole got restricted. There was a decrease in demand because people were not going out, they were not buying a lot of products, so decrease in demand was there. Then there was a shortage of raw material, fine, restriction onto the trade, recovery was very much delayed, payment delays were there, labor shortages were there because of the reverse migration laborers, they went back to their home states. So because of all these reasons, the MSME sector's demand, the MSME sector's output got declined. Then guys, the next thing that has been provided here is that, see, now as this particular as the MSMEs were getting impacted, what happened, government came out with this Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Under the Atmanirbhar Bharat package, government provided that MSMEs, they can take the loan, fine, and over that particular loan, the government will be giving the guarantee. You don't need to keep any collateral, you don't need to keep any security. If you want to take loan into the times of pandemic, government will give the security. But firms simply did not took the loan. Why? Because guys, obviously the loan you will be taking if you have to enhance your production capability. When there is no demand, why to enhance the production capability? When there is no demand, why to enhance the production capability? Okay, so therefore no loan, nothing was taken for that thing. This thing did not perform very well. Then guys, after that, the next thing that happened is that, basically, see, now the firms, they also got impacted due to the pandemic induced recession, fine. It has been provided that around 10% of the firms under the study had, the firms, they got impacted due to the pandemic induced recessions, but there are certain other firms which had seen a kind of a positive change. Around 10% of the firms, they have seen actually a rise in their turnover, or they reported no change. Now why? See, there are certain MSMEs which were involved into the human health activities, Fine. They were involved into the manufacturing of pharmaceuticals. They were making the drugs. They were making some immunity booster products. They were making sanitizers, masks, PPE kits. Okay. So the MSMEs involved in health activities, pharmaceuticals, medicine, chemical, botanical products, food and beverage sector. On them, the impact was not much. Why? Because these things, the demand actually increased by the pandemic. Moreover, the MSMEs who were doing the manufacture of apparel, for them it was very easy to switch on to the online mode. So the MSMEs, fine, who was providing the health related services, or the MSMEs for whom turning to the online mode was easy, they did not face a lot of problem. Now guys, after that, the next thing that has been happened, that apart from that, the MSMEs, they got impacted by other things also. For example, the change into the government policies, the wars that are now going on, Russia and Ukraine war particularly. Fine. Then the floods, droughts, okay, uncertain business environment, they are also impacting the MSMEs. So what could be the way forward to improve the MSMEs? Number one, it has been talked about that government need to create an uncertainty corpus fund for the small business. It will be a kind of an emergency fund. Now this particular fund, from here the money can be given to the MSME sector if they are facing some kind of an uncertainty into their business. And how the money will actually come into this particular fund? So basically, every MSME, they can contribute some money onto the basis of certain fraction of their turnover. They can contribute some money in this fund, and this fund can be used to actually finance the MSMEs into the uncertain times. Then there needs to also be a small business insurance scheme also that government needs to come. So see, we came out with the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Under this Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, the crop insurance is being provided, which is helping a lot. So it has been provided that now what can be done, actually for the MSME sector also there is a huge market for the insurance, and this insurance scheme can be framed. So this is something that is provided here. Government can, moreover, government in order to help MSMEs can also pay the premium for this business insurance for the MSMEs. So this is something that we need to do. Now guys, it is provided that actually we need to make sure that our MSMEs are robust, our MSMEs are thriving, because they play an important role into the economic well-being. They play a very important role. They play an important role into the economic well-being. They play a very important role further when we talk about it in the export of India. So they are needed to be given a much more support. So that is all guys about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. India and the UK crafting a new legacy. So this article is taken again from the editorial section, and it is talking about the key milestones that have been achieved by the India and UK, and how the relations between the India and UK are warming up. So with respect to the international relation, foreign policy, fine, under that FTA, free trade agreements, this topic will be important. Now guys, first of all, as we now see that there is the Ukraine Russia war that is going on. So under this pretext, recently what has happened, UK's foreign secretary has visited the India as a part of a diplomatic push, where UK want that India should criticize the Russia, India should condemn the Russia, and India should vote against the Russia into the United Nations. Now guys, as the UK's foreign secretary came, okay, there was 1.5 track dialogue diplomacy that was taken in India. See, 1.5 track diplomacy dialogue, it means where, see, government is negotiating, ministers, government, okay, officials, they are negotiating, but at the same time there are the academicians, business, okay, organizations that are operating into the two countries, they are also negotiating. So this is the 1.5 track diplomacy. Now it is provided that, see, first of all, what are the key takeaways into the India UK relationships? See, first of all, into the 2021, India and UK, they have signed the comprehensive strategic partnership agreement, which talks about the 2030 roadmap for the India UK relations. So 2030 roadmap of India UK relations, see guys, it is not the bilateral trade and investment agreement, the FTA, that is to be signed between the India and UK. Still it is pending. Okay, this 2030 roadmap of India UK relation, under this there are certain agreements that have been signed. For example, the agreement onto the migration and mobility was signed, which provided that the visas will be provided, easy visas will be provided to the academicians, students, etc. Then it was provided that how the two countries can collaborate, can cooperate with each other, okay, and how the 2030, till the 2030, even more deep and meaningful relations between the two countries can be carried. All these things were provided in this 2030 roadmap for India UK relationships. Now, as recently the Foreign Secretary of UK has visited the India, okay, it has been conveyed that how we need to now condemn the debt we need to now condemn deter the aggressors, we need to reduce the vulnerability, fine, and we need to strengthen the global security. And for all these particular things, the criticizing of Russia is very much important. This is something that was said. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about the UK happens to be a very important partner. Why? Because of the Indo-Pacific strategy. Both countries can actually create the jobs, can provide the security for the Indo-Pacific. So coming together of the two countries is very important. Then after that, understand this particular thing, that what has happened between the India and UK recently, a joint cyber security program, fine, it is being talked about and it is set to be announced. Now this joint cyber security program, it will aim to protect the online infrastructure India as well as UK. Now the cyber attacks, the ransomware, and all these things are becoming very problematic. So in order to deal with it, the joint cyber security program is yet to be announced. Now UK also is planning to adopt the first strategic tech dialogue. Now first strategic tech dialogue, it will be a ministerial level summit where the ministers from both the countries will be coming together and they will discuss the emerging technologies, how these technologies can disrupt the communication, fine, and how they can bring some cyber challenges. Then India and UK, they have agreed to strengthen their cooperation on the maritime domain as well. Okay, into the maritime domain, the UK is going to join the India's Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative. Now, guys, Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative, it is an open platform that has been developed by the India where the countries can join and they can talk about that how into the Indian Ocean sustainability can be ensured, how the region can be made free of piracy and all such kind of things. So onto the maritime domain, UK is going to join this Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative. That is a very good thing. After that, guys, the next thing that has been provided is that India and UK, they also have a deep defense relationships also. Clear, defense partnership is also there. A large number of imports, the weaponry import, are taken by the UK. So India is a key strategic partner for the UK into the Indo-Pacific because the India gives a very big market for the defense purchases. Then, guys, after that, it has been provided that see, UK has also confirmed that 70 million pounds of the international investment will be provided to the India in the sector of the renewable energy. Fine. Moreover, New Delhi, the India had also has asked the UK to provide the easy market access for the Indian fisheries, pharma, agriculture products. Fine, we want to export the fisheries, pharma, agriculture products to the UK, and we want that easy market access should be given to India. India's goods should not be imposed to the high import duties. Fine. Moreover, understand, guys, as these all things have already happened, the UK's Prime Minister also will be coming soon to the India, and further how the more meaningful deep relations can be taken between the India and UK, this particular thing will be discussed. Fine. Now, guys, further moving on, there are many new areas also between the India and the UK that can be explored. These new areas are the fintech, market regulation, sustainable and green finance, cyber security. Okay, there are some new areas that are coming and they are probably will be discussed when the UK's Prime Minister is visiting the India. So, guys, this article is actually very good article as what have been the key milestones achieved between these two countries. Directly you can add this in your IR notes under the heading of the India UK relations. So all these are the converging points, all these are the cooperations that have been taken. So that is all, guys, about it. And now we'll move to the next article, state of adolescent learning. Now this particular article, state of adolescent learning, is taken from the Hindu newspaper, and this article, guys, is actually talking about that how the adolescent learning. Now the adolescent is a person who is more than 11 years of age, from 11 to 17, 16, 17 years age child is known as adolescent. Fine. By the way, there is no one very fixed definition that okay, only a person if will be of this age will be called as adolescent. It is a very fluid term. So a person from 11 to 16, 17 years of age will be called as an adolescent. Now it has been provided that see, government has actually taken a lot of effort to provide the adolescent learning. Under the government schools, government is providing the highly subsidized education. Okay, there have been the push for bring increasing the universal enrollment. Now guys, it has been provided recently by a report that has come, that is the Annual Status of Education Report, ASER. As per this ASER Annual Status of Education Report, it is provided that India had seen high enrollment rates even during the time of pandemic. It has provided that actually the unenrolled students into the age of 11 to 14 years, they have, see, their increase is marginal. See, 11 to 14 years, 11 to 14 years, now this particular age, we have seen that every year large number of children are there who are not into the schools, their numbers increase. Into the pandemic their number has increased, but the increase is very much marginal, which is a good thing. So increase in unenrolled between the age of 11 to 14 years, it has been marginal. After that, it has been provided that the number of children who is out of the school into the age bracket of 15 to 16, their number has actually been fallen. So this is a very good thing again. After that, it has also been provided that the children are now enrolled beyond the age of compulsory education. Now the age of compulsory education is 6 to 14 years. So the children beyond the age of compulsory education, beyond the 14 years also, we have seen that their numbers is increasing. After that, next thing, it is provided that, see, ASER 2020 and 2021, Annual Status of Education Report 2020-2021. However, they had provided that actually there are certain areas where we need to be little bit more concerned. There is a dismal picture of access to technology based learning resources. So when the technology based learning resources comes, the accessibility is not very much good. It is provided that when we talk about the children's into the class 9th to 12th, 70% of the children from class 9 to 12th, they had a smartphone at their home, but only 35% of them could use it for the studies. 17% could not use it at all. So actually the students are having the smartphone, but they are not able to use it. After that, it has also been provided that, see, basically now what has happened, the pandemic came, the formal schooling was closed, the children were taking the education at their home. Now the family members, they assumed the task of teaching their children. Now you know this particular thing, that if in a household there is a girl and there is a boy, first preference in terms of education will be given to the boy. So what happened, when the family members, they were assuming the teaching tasks, fine, they had not given much actually attention to the girls. So the attention onto the girls, it has reduced. And when there was limited financial resources, and if the financial resources were competed by both girls and the boys, the girls were at disadvantage. Okay, so the girls did not got much of a attention. Recently, the Building Back Better report was released by the UNICEF. And this Building Back Better report by the UNICEF, okay, by the way, there is one more Building Back Better World initiative. It is by USA, which is to develop the infrastructure into the developing countries. That is different. So this is Build Back Better report by the UNICEF. This particular report provides that because of the school closure, the girls and the women's unpaid care work has increased. Now guys, yesterday we have taken one article onto the care work, where I told you that it could be paid, it could be unpaid. So it has been provided that actually the burden of unpaid care work on women increased, because particularly it is the women's responsibility that it has to take care of sick people, it has to take care of old people, they have to take care of the children. So for on them there is a lot of burden that got increased. Is it clear? Fine. Then guys, it has also been provided that there is a gender disparity in our education. What has happened, basically the ambitions have got gendered. Now ambitions got gendered. ASER 2017 found that, see, when you ask the children into the age group of 14 to 18 years that what you wanted to be in your life, so the boys, they are replying that they want to join army, they want to join police, they want to become an engineer. And the girls, they reply that they want to become either a teacher or a nurse or a doctor. So the teacher or a nurse or a doctor, it is seen as a soft skill which can be taken by the girls, but be an army man, be a policeman, it is something which needs a very strong personality, and it is seen that the strong personality is attributed to the males. So there is a genderization even in ambitions that is there. Moreover, according to the Annual Status of Education Report, Indian Human Development Survey, and the National Family Health Survey, it has also been found that this gender disparity is also impacting the learning outcomes. Learning outcomes, even the subjects have become gendered. It is believed that the mathematics belongs to the area of boys, and therefore the boys are more good in mathematics, and this is actually happening also. Fine, this is something that has happened. Now, guys, basically, there are the regressive household practices. Into the households, the boys and the girls, they have been gendered. They are shown in a particular role, and this thing is spilling over them. So, what is provided? It is provided that now into the school education, we need to correct the attitudes of the children. We need to provide the equitable environment to both girls as well as boys to grow. We need to bring an attitude change program. Now, on to this particular lines, what has happened? Fine. In the Haryana, Abdul Latif Jamil Poverty Action Lab, PGEL, it has taken up already an attitude change program and it has shown a lot of result also. Now, guys, this is something that we need to do. By the way, here you find the description of annual status of education report. Find this report is released by the NGO Pratham, and it talks about that what has been the outcomes with respect to the education. So this is all, guys, about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it. So, guys, with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. So, guys, that is all. I hope that you have understood. Okay, fine, sir. There is one question, sir. What is the importance of science and technology page of Hindu on Sunday? See, science and technology, there are questions that are being asked into the prelims examination, but fine, when we see the Hindu newspaper, particularly the Sunday, many times the articles are coming onto the COVID-19 and new virus trends that is there. Such articles are not important. However, if new innovation is coming, if new invention is coming, if some new breakthrough technology is being discussed, that is something that is important. Okay, so that is all about this particular analysis. So that is all for today. Thank you so much.